Welcome to the Pack Mentality Podcast, the place for fans who want to stay up to date on all the latest news, analysis, and insights. I'm your host, Patrick Corrigan, and I'm thrilled to be here to talk about the Packers, from Lombardi to LaFleur. You can now find me in more places. Packer Mentality is now on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, iHeartRadio, and on social media on Twitter, Threads, and Instagram. Regardless of where you found me, thank you so much for being here. We are now about a week away from the start of training camp and less than a month away from the first preseason game against the Bengals. Over the past couple weeks, there really hasn't been any news and no activity. But regardless of that, we have time to talk about what we want to know and our expectations for the Packers before the regular season starts. And let's start with number one, the guys who missed at least half the season last year with injuries, Rashan Gary, Eric Stokes, want to know how their recovery is going, when they're going to be ready. Will we see them for the start of the regular season, or will they miss 4 games? Will they miss half the season? Let's find out where they are and when we can expect them back. Number two, roster battles. 3 positions that I want to keep an eye on. First is the safety position, probably the most important. There are at least 6 guys battling for 2 starting spots, and I've heard it mentioned that any of these guys could either be the starter or they could be on the street by the end of training camp and preseason. Or could this be a position that when the last cuts are made uh, after the last preseason game, do the Packers bring in a veteran that got cut from another team? We'll see. Right tackle. Is that going to be Yosh Nijman or Zach Tom? Kind of leaning towards Zach Tom at right tackle because I believe Yosh is a better swing tackle and can easily switch over to the left side if he's needed to spell David Bakhtiari if he has a game that he needs to miss because of that knee. But as far as I know, Bakhtiari is healthy and is ready to go. Backup quarterback. Well, I'm hoping to not see much of this guy except for kneel downs at the end of the game. Is it going to be Sean Clifford, who's a 5th-round pick out of Penn State, rookie this season, or Danny Etling? Number 3, want to see this Packers team develop strong team chemistry. Probably most importantly, the defense is going to have to be the backbone of this team for at least the first half of the season while the offense gets its footing. There's too much talent on this defense for it not to be one of the best in the league. Coaches and the players need to make sure that the problems that plagued them to start last season don't happen again. For a veteran team, there were too many communication issues and too much confusion to start the season. Can happen. Want to see this offense start to gel under new starter Jordan Love. He's got a good nucleus around him. He's got a very good offensive line in front of him. Does not have to worry about any rookies on the offensive line. These guys have all been there at least one season. They did not draft anybody. They will have a nice veteran group in front of them. Behind him, he'll have Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, probably the best 1-2 punch at running back in the league. And outside, he'll have Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs, both going into their second year. And he'll have probably 2 rookie tight ends. But those 2 rookies are probably the most athletically talented guys that they've had at tight end in a long time. Now, the rookies at tight end and all rookies backing up Watson and Dobbs Packers did not bring in any veterans, so this coaching staff is going to have to do a good job of getting these guys up to speed and just developing them into professional football players. The talent is there. They just need to know what they're doing and when to do it. Number 4, and continuing with the theme of the coaching staff developing players, they also need to do a better job of evaluating talent and the decisions on who is on the field on a week-to-week basis. 3 areas that they have not gotten right over the past couple seasons is the return job, had Amari Rodgers on the field instead of Keyshawn Nixon, offensive line in the playoffs a couple years ago, and then game 1 of last season had the wrong guys on the field, and wide receiver, bringing in Sammy Watkins last season and having him on the field instead of Christian Watson or Romeo Doubs was a mistake and did nothing for this team. And number 5, and probably most importantly for this young team, is be better prepared for week 1. Whether that is getting a little bit more playing time for the starters, which I think they will this year during preseason. I don't want to see them out a lot. I do know you have to balance preparation and experience versus the injury risk. I understand that. But this team has not been ready for week 1 2 years in a row, and that cannot happen. It cost the Packers a spot in the playoffs last season by losing the week 1. And this team in 2023 is going to need every win they can get. And that starts in week 1 versus the Bears. They need to come out of that game with a victory to start this season correctly. I'll be back on Friday with a look ahead to who is going to make the final 53-man roster, my 4 week too early prediction on the roster. And then after that, training camp will be here. In the meantime, please, everyone, be safe, have a great week, and go Pack Go.